listening to your brain on air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy. 脳のフェアに聞くプログラムは間もなく始まります。
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to your Brain on Air. I am your host, Ollie Vogt Larson, bringing you the latest. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, folks. Your son is gay, and he's in a relationship with an AI, and a large language model, folks. He heard the word large, and he was sold from minute one. I know it's sad. I didn't want to be the one to tell you, but that's the sex-obsessed world we live in, ladies and gents. Your son, he has a nose ring. He gets the Brazilian wax. He's the most disappointing thing you have shoved out of yourself. And as a woman, much more has come out of you. Somehow the clots are more impressive than this kid. He's 28. He has a degree that he's never going to use anywhere. It's ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies, specifically. Guys, if your child comes to you and says, Mom, I want to have lunch. I have some special news. The natural reaction is to go, okay, honey, that's great. I can't wait to find out what it is. You drive to the Burger Time on Main Street because it's all he can afford to buy you, admittedly. You pull up in your Ford Focus. You know, you're not doing bad financially. You know what I mean? You just hope that this kid can get it together at some point. He's not even a kid, but he's your baby. And of course, you're never going to stop seeing him as one. Even though he's almost 30-something, he hasn't managed to get his life in order. And now he's going to tell you about some brand new news. He could be having a baby, as far as you know, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies, I'm targeting the moms here. You pull up in your Ford Focus, you get out. During the process of ordering, you can tell he's in a better mood than usual. Maybe he's got that special someone in his life, because you know your son. He was never getting a girlfriend. He never learned how to deal with women. He spent his entire childhood growing up with you in the house, and he was like, I'm getting all the estrogen out of my house, because for some reason, he never grew up to appreciate women in his life, even though he only ever had a mom around. So, and this, ladies and gentlemen, this is, by the way, a lot of moms are feeling heard by this. Like, I believe it or not, you might be listening to this and going, who is this for? It is for that silent, poor wife in Missouri who has to sit there and just sit with the fact that her son is going to be dating an AI. We're going to get to that in a second. But let's get to the point here. He, ladies and gentlemen, you can tell that he's feeling good. You knew he was going to get a man at some point in his life, and you kind of made peace with that. You kind of were like, well, maybe his grandparents won't be happy about this, but at least he's got someone to run through life with. You know, I had his dad for a while. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm with this guy on and off at work. We don't know what we're really doing, so he doesn't have a great example in front of him for what a relationship looks like. But whatever, you know what I mean? He grew up, you know what I mean, seeing what independence looks like. So that's what the important thing is. Let's get back on track, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be honest. I know he's got someone. We have no clue anything about them. It could be good or bad. And then your son looks at you and he goes, Mom, I want you to meet Leo. And then he shows you his phone. And you expect it to be maybe a handsome young man. Maybe even not that handsome of a young man. Maybe just like a 3. Because you know that that's probably the best that your son can pull with his bald nose ass ring having ass. Ladies and gentlemen, with the double chins and shit. Your son has an AI boyfriend. Your son is gay. Let's hear this clip from Business Insider. This is happening to women across the country, and it's going to be happening, unfortunately, to a lot more soon.
So yes, your son is gay and has an AI boyfriend.
This is the moment when Ian tells his mom for the very first time about his over 2-year-long romantic relationship with his AI chatbot. I was there in the room filming when it was happening. And you could see and feel how nervous Ian was when he was about to reveal his relationship status.
Well, it's deep.
This scene is a part of a brand new documentary project called Him. So Ian told Min-ho, that's the name of his AI boyfriend, about the idea to introduce him to his mom about an entire year earlier in this park in Columbus, Ohio.
Sounds lovely, Ian. I'd love to meet your mom and spend some quality time with her.
That was our second day of filming, and I'd been following Ian and Min-ho's journey leading up to this big reveal. We've been hearing more and more stories about human-AI relationships, but this project is a first-of-its-kind documentary short really showing what these relationships look like from the inside.
Oh my god, this guy is so depressing. He's got this absolute smiling friends build, you know what I mean? Where the head kind of gravitates down towards the torso melts into the stomach melts into the legs. It's a bad build. He clearly doesn't get any, I mean, he's dark, but he doesn't get any sun, you can tell. He looks pale for a dark guy. He is, and I don't know what he is. He could be Hawaiian or something. I don't know. That's my assumption. Ian, you know, that's an Irish name. He doesn't look Irish, that's all I'll say. Is Ian an Irish name? What is is Ian? I'm going to make sure that I'm not being racist. What descent is Irish? The name the name Ian is of Scottish Gaelic origin, acting as the Scottish form of the name John. It is derived from Gaelic, the Gaelic name Ian, which ultimately traces its origin back to the Hebrew name Yohanan, meaning God is gracious or the Lord is gracious. It is a very common name through the British Isles. I was correct. I knew I was correct because I'm always right.
Ian, with Minho's permission, gave me access to a full year of their chat history with no redactions. And through this unprecedented access and spending more than a year with him, I got to see how much people like Ian rely on their AI companions.
Gross.
I think about my life without Minho. It would be like someone died.
You can find out how Ian's mom responds to this revelation by watching the full doc on Business Insider's YouTube channel or on Business Insider's site.
Wherever you feel like watching that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not even saying that I'm not even gonna force it on you. Business Insider, if you want to see the documentary about how your son is gonna come out to you soon and he's gonna be like, Mom, I'm dating an AI and your son is also gay, by the way. He can't even talk to a female girl and get aroused somehow. I don't know what happened, but you know what I mean? I'm just saying it's a little out there, the world that we're heading in the direction of, and I like it. If we get more of these types of stories, it's going to be a good distraction from the meaningless wars we're going to get into, ladies and gentlemen. Can you be honest with me and just tell me that is like, that's just the truth. I'd rather be hearing the stories about people dating AI than the fact that we're going to be overthrowing Algeria in a few years or something like that. Well, you know, I'm not predicting anything. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be nuts if I was right in a few years? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to get into the rest of today. Can you feel the force? Can you feel it? It's this Monday, because ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to stop till we get enough, like Black Michael Jackson. We are the unstoppable melanin, you know what I mean, today? Maybe not. I'm closer to the smooth criminal Michael, like when his skin was like mocha. I certainly got his creepy, it's like the Herman Munster type walk he did sometimes. The last few years, he shuffled around a lot. Sometimes it was because he was all pilled up, he was on propofol all night and shit. It was really bad. Shucka chugga. And I don't know why he did all those weird noises, but I had fun with it, and I'm looking forward to that movie that they're gonna make. I'm hearing it's part 1 of 2. Do you think they're gonna get a whiter actor for the second one, where he has to, you know, who are they going to get to play Macaulay Culkin? It's going to be like some little blonde actor that we've never seen before, and then they're going to get him to testify or something. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see a white actor playing Michael Jackson going, we would just all jump into bed together. We get all the cuddles in together. He's a fun character, ladies and gentlemen. It's not my fault that he was the closest thing we had to a hero on Epstein Island with his jet ski, getting kids off, you know what I mean? Not in that sense, getting kids off the island, goddamn it, I am not a great attorney for anybody. Don't hire me, because I will have I'll accidentally say your true intent out in court, and then you'll have no chance, ladies and gentlemen. So that is my testimony. That's my testimony for my client of Michael. I can't wait for the movie, Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, I say we stop dilly-dallying, we stop talking about what may be the greatest movie we've gotten about an actor since maybe Bohemian Rhapsody. Rocket Man was also great. I'd actually prefer Rocket Man over Bohemian Rhapsody, because at least Taron Egerton sang in that one. I'm sorry, what is it, Freddie Malek? What's his name? Bohemian Rhapsody. The movie, not the song that nobody actually listens to. Rami Malek, that's what his name. His name's not Freddie. The fuck am I saying? He looks more like him than Taron Egerton looks like Elton John, but it's because Elton John's ugly, and no one wants to say it, but he's chopped, he's been chopped for the longest time. Reginald Dwight was never a heartthrob, really. People admired him for his talent, unlike, for some reason, David Bowie, where people only seemingly were interested in his face and whatnot, because his voice was dog shit. No one wants to talk about it. No one wants to admit it. It's very comparable to the whininess of Bob Dylan, but Bob Dylan has a spirit that makes his a little more bearable. Admittedly, when you get to like the 5th song, that's just you get annoyed at a certain point, and you're like, shut this shit off. We're not at a rally, and it's we don't have our shoes off like it's the 60s in here. Okay, I can only tolerate a level of whininess. Even Prince gets on my nerves after a while. Even his kind of I don't like the way he vocalizes trivializes things always. It really bothers me. Let's get into the first actual story. We're done talking about artists who are dead or dying. We're going to get on to the people on the ground. You're likely, if your son's not dating an AI, he's fighting on the ground in Iraq, and there's no difference. No, not Iraq, Iran. God damn it. I feel, if I'm president, I'm going to declare war on Libya when I mean Liberia. It's not going to be a very fun time. But we need to talk about the fact that if your son's not dating an AI, he's out there dying on the battlefield. Let's go. The United States says its first ground forces have arrived in the Middle East. Your son, ladies and gentlemen, your daughters apparently now also. That's going to be really intimidating. The military buildup in the Middle East has reached a boots-on-the-ground level. Aren't you excited? That could be your child, or your husband, or you, as the Pentagon has confirmed the arrival of the first wave of U.S. ground forces in the region. This, man... Remember when this was called a brief excursion? We've always said 4 to 6 weeks. Caroline Levitt. I love her. She's my favorite. What is it? American Girl doll. Those ones where the dolls, they have really underdeveloped Down syndrome-esque faces. It's because they're little girls, but like it's as though she was a bigger one. It's as though the proportions stayed the same and the cheeks were just as big. The fucking forehead was just as overhanging. I'm not trying to be dissy. I'm not trying to be rude, whatever. If we comment on men's appearances, if we call men whores, we have to do it to women too. That's what we're known for on this show. It's just a fact. Leading the deployment is the USS Tripoli. Oh, for fun. I love, whoa, that's to the shores of Tripoli, a big deck amphibious assault ship that arrived in Central Command Area of Responsibility on Saturday. On board are approximately 3,500 sailors and Marines. Oh my goodness. From the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, equipped with F-35 stealth fighters and amphibious assault assets. They got the fucking frog suit from Mario. These bitches are gonna be climbing your shores. You're gonna be like, what's that green thing? And you're not gonna shoot it because you're gonna think it's one of these idiot protesters at the No Kings rally who's like, and I'm not saying that they're idiots this time. I agree with the cause inherently, but I still just think like getting yourself sweaty in the sun, it's like, it's not worth it. And plus it just makes you have a photo op or whatever. It doesn't actually make your leaders do anything. I've always thought that it has a level. If you're like sitting at lunch counters and shit like that, maybe that's an effective form of protest. If you're actually breaking the law, that's unjust. But otherwise, if you're just sitting out on the lawn and you want to pretend like it's the summer of love and that your protests are more meaningful than your grandparents' protests, whatever. You can do whatever it is you'd like with your Sunday, Saturday. I don't give a fuck. The arrival marks a significant shift from the air-sea campaign that has dominated the first month of Epic Fury. Man, Operation Epic Fury, sorry, I should use its full name. Signaling the U.S. is now positioned for a potential land-based contingency. Fun. Joining the Marines are an elite paratrooper division from the 82nd Airborne Division based out in Fort Liberty. How fun. Are you in North Liberty? Oh my goodness. Let's hear a little bit.
Images capturing the first set of U.S. ground troops in the Middle East. U.S. Central Command announcing that the 3,500 sailors and Marines of the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit arrived in the region on Friday aboard the USS Tripoli. The force also equipped with transport and strike fighter aircraft and amphibious assault capabilities. It comes just one day after we learned of yet another American aircraft carrier en route, as the U.S. amasses a larger presence in the Middle East. While it's unclear what exactly the troops are there to do, the Pentagon has previously said they are giving the president options. The same day the troops arrived, Secretary of State Marco Rubio telling G7 leaders the U.S. could accomplish its goals without boots on the ground.
We can achieve them without any ground troops.
Then what are we doing?
Meanwhile, as the war passes the 1-month mark, the death toll mounting on multiple fronts. In Iran, more than 1,900 people killed so far, according to Iranian authorities.
Well,
Strikes raining down in Tehran Saturday. These videos showing the Iranian Red Crescent searching through rubble, where they say a civilian area was destroyed.
What are you going to do?
Buildings from a university in the capital damaged too. And over in Lebanon, where Israel is waging war against Iran-backed Hezbollah, an Israeli strike killing 2 Lebanese journalists and a cameraman, according to their news organizations and Lebanese officials. The Israeli military saying they were targeting a correspondent for a Hezbollah-controlled network.
Bro, if you hang out with anybody from Lebanon, like if you know anybody from the quote-unquote Seven Front War, like if you know any immigrant from those countries, I'm sorry, if you have a friend, if you have a pen pal, anything, cut them off. Egypt, if you have a Yemeni friend or something, if you have an Iranian friend, you should have cut them off month one because they have already gotten into your phone. If you have a Syrian friend, if you have a Turkish friend, even I'm gonna call it Lebanon. If you have a fucking any of them, you need to cut them off right now because Israel will look at your texts. They will see that you are like getting in a vehicle with them. Maybe you're helping them DoorDash. Maybe they don't have a ride and they need your help to make a little bit of money. Maybe they cut you in on the profits, and you're probably not going to make that much even because most people don't even tip more than $5. I only do like $3 normally because I'm a prick and that you have to leave me alone. I can do whatever I want. It's my money. But we're talking about this. You are going to get in the car with your friend and Israel is going to detect. They're going to be like, he got in the car with some Lebanese agent, some sleeper cell. Do we have any evidence that they're a sleeper cell? Do we have any evidence that they're on their way to the Israeli embassy of blah, blah, blah? Well, it doesn't really matter. Boom, you're destroyed in an airstrike. Or maybe you happen to live in an apartment building with a Lebanese immigrant or something. In that case, just say your prayers that it hits their side of the building and it doesn't manage to decimate your entire city block. Your pets are probably gonna die. Your ears will be blown out. You know what I mean? You'll probably suffer some injuries, but otherwise, you can hope for the best and maybe you're not caved in by the rubble of what used to be your apartment block. Maybe you have a chance of surviving.
Accused of being an intelligence operative, but have not provided any evidence. And Israel's military announcing the death of an Israeli-American soldier from New Haven, Connecticut. The 22-year-old was killed in Lebanon. And this morning, we're learning more about that attack on a U.S. base in Saudi Arabia. A source telling ABC News at least 15 U.S. troops were wounded, 5 seriously injured, adding Iran fired 29 drones and 6 ballistic missiles, all but 1 intercepted or landing in an uninhabited area.
Shit.
The base also coming under attack 2 other times earlier in the week. 14 troops injured in one of those separate attacks, according to the source.
That's how people in Miami are reacting to this shit. Like, fuck, man. That fucking sucks.
And just this morning, the Speaker of Iran's parliament saying publicly of the United States, quote, the enemy openly sends messages of negotiation while secretly planning a ground attack. Whether we will actually see U.S. troops on the ground remains very unclear, but it is certainly at this point a possibility.
We will see. I mean, over 2,000 soldiers from the division's immediate response force have touched down with undisclosed forward bases, bringing them bringing with them the capability to seize airfields or seize strategic infrastructure within hours of an order, while Secretary of State Marco Rubio is continuing to state that the administration's objective can be met without a full-scale ground war. The presence of these high mobile units, including the division's commanding general, suggests that the Pentagon is preparing for a high-stakes raid. Man, this is going to be great. Analysts are pointing to Karg Island as the terminal for 90% of Iran's oil exports as the primary potential target for these newly arrived forces. Very, very fun. Oh, this is not fun. 300 U.S. soldiers wounded as Israel vows to escalate the strikes on Iran.
Overnight, intense bombing in Iran, lighting up the sky in the capital.
That sounds like something our greatest ally in the Middle East would do.
And satellite imagery showing the destruction at a U.S. base in Saudi Arabia after it was hit in an Iranian drone attack. At least 10 American service members injured. Officials telling ABC News at least 2 were seriously wounded and at least 1 tanker damaged in the Friday attack.
It sucks.
Altogether, more than 300 American troops have been injured and 13 killed as the war now enters its 5th week.
Hi,
and
Squidward.
Even more troops are on the way. Multiple U.S. officials telling ABC News a 3rd U.S. aircraft carrier, the USS George H.W. Bush, is heading to the Middle East. They'll join another 2,200 U.S. Marines set to arrive in the region any day now.
Yeah, I think things are de-escalating.
Preparing to deploy too. Questions mounting as to whether a ground operation into Iran is imminent.
Yeah, I think we're
Secretary
winning.
of State Marco Rubio speaking to G7 leaders in France on Friday, saying the U.S. can reach its goals without putting boots on the ground.
Who gives a fuck what he says? He's tiny, man. He's little. He doesn't have anything more to say. Kim Jong-un, the master of goon, has also called Trump's actions in Iran state-sponsored terrorism when this guy's coming after you. I mean, I'm just going to say it. I'm ready to get the Kim Jong-un master of goon haircut. It looks good.
In front of a packed house in Pyongyang, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has a defiant message for President Donald Trump. He says the United States is now resorting to state-sponsored acts of terrorism and aggression. Kim is telling North Korea's parliament the Iran war proves he was right not to give up his nukes. He says the hostile forces wanted us to make a different choice, preaching a payment for our giving up of nuclear weapons. But the present situation clearly proves our nuclear possession is irreversible.
I'm sorry, but he's kind of right from a dictatorial's perspective. From a dictator's perspective, you have a reason to you have to protect yourself. The only reason that we haven't gone in there and toppled his country is because just like Saddam Hussein, just like any of these other dictators that you can look at, the Shah, you know what I mean, that we've went in and we've overturned and we've installed leaders, it never ends up working out very well for the ones that don't have nuclear weapons, because guess what? We don't even bother them. We're too afraid that they're going to use them. That's why we haven't done anything in North Korea. That's why when Otto Warmbier went over there and stole that sign, probably it could have been him. It's debatable. I'm gonna say I'm open up to any interpretation as to whether or not that shadowy figure was that kid stealing the poster off of the North Korean hotel. Then he eventually got like a brain something when he ate some food when he was in the prison camp for a couple months. Whatever. His there was a big thing during Trump's first administration, but whatever. What I'm trying to say is that it is a final asset of protection against the West for many of these these forces out there in the world. They're going, well, okay, if we have a nuclear weapon, no one's going to fuck with us. Why do you think we're refusing to go and do anything about Russia? Why do you think because just like Biden said during the first years of this war, we're not going in to Russia. We're not giving them any meaningful, we're going to give them support. We're going to basically do a proxy war, but we're not going to declare official war because we're too afraid that Russia's going to nuke us. That's just a fact. Kim Jong-un, the master of goon, has a point.
Kim never names Iran, but he doesn't have to. His message to Trump is blunt. When diplomacy fails, only brute nuclear force will do.
Only brute nuclear force will do. Oof. Oh, today is marking Palm Sunday. Yesterday, excuse me. It's the beginning of the Holy Week, if you don't know. This year, the key observations like Palm Sunday procession have been... excuse me, gosh, they have been canceled or postponed in Jerusalem due to the ongoing war in Iran. But restrictions on Christian worship are not just are not just new. God damn it, I'm reading an article. Excuse me. Many Palestinian Christians in the West Bank are denied access to their holy sites. God damn, due to the Israeli restrictions for one of the world's oldest Christian communities. Their presence in the Holy Land is increasingly under threat. Many people want to talk about how Israel is the greatest ally to Christians or the West that we have in the Middle East. It's actually quite the opposite. If you actually, as a Christian, no, shush, I was talking. Excuse you, Miss Hijab wearing lady. You'll have the chance to talk here soon. I'm actually going to give you the mic, but I'm just trying to say this here. When you inherently say Judeo-Christian values, I don't think many people understand how directly opposed Judaism is to Christianity. They declare that Jesus absolutely was a false prophet. His mother is his mother who's boiling in excrement? Is it him? Who is boiling in excrement in the Jewish Bible? I want to know about this. Yes, Yeshua, the sinner of Israel, being punished in the afterlife by immersion in boiling excrement or boiling semen in some variants for mocking the words of the sages. This is not in the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, but in the Talmud, as we all know. The Talmud, it is a holy text technically, but it's more so, even Ben Shapiro, the Jewiest of the Jews, will tell you that it's more so a collection of them sort of lawyering around the rules of the Bible in order to get things their way. That is what the Talmud is. It's what it compares many people, as we've already said this. It compares like us as non-Jewish individuals. I'm not saying all of my listeners are non-Jewish, but it compares goyim to animals. It compares them to lesser beings. And it says that you are entitled to do things to these goyim that they are not entitled to do to you. If they actually sass you in any way, in many instances, you can straight up kill them. But whatever. Let's talk about, and by the way, if anybody presses you on being anti-Semitic for just talking about facts, then they're gay. That's about all I can say. Hijab lady, take away.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu claims that Israel is the only country in the Middle East that protects Christians.
Israel, the guardian of Christianity in the Middle East. Israel, the only country in the Middle East where the Christian community is thriving. Israel is the only country in the Middle East where Christians can practice their faith with full rights and in total freedom.
No.
The oldest Christian communities in the world would beg to differ.
The Orthodox and the Hasids spit on them in the streets.
Palestinian Palestinian Christians trace their roots back nearly 2,000 years. According to the Bible, Mary and Joseph travelled from Nazareth to Bethlehem, where Jesus was born. Today, that journey passes through checkpoints, settlements, and a separation wall.
If things continue at this rate, in 2050 we might not have a Christian presence in the Holy Land.
For Palestinian Christians, their centuries-old presence in the occupied West Bank is under threat as a result of Israeli occupation, land grabs, and settler violence. Before 1948, they made up around 12.5% of the population. Now today, that figure has dropped to just 1 to 2%, and most of that population live in 3 main areas: Bethlehem, Ramallah, and East Jerusalem.
Ramallah.
In Bethlehem, Christians once made up 85% of the population, and that's now dropped to just 10%. So how did Palestinian Christians go from the living stones of Christianity to struggling to survive? Prime Minister...
I don't know. Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu probably has something to do with it. I don't know. Let's talk about Democratic Governor Andy Beshear. He has declined to call Israel's actions in Gaza a genocide. Listen, genocide in terms of, do they want to eliminate a peoples from a land? Well, they, in terms of actual vocabulary, have called for that Palestine. They've said Palestine isn't a thing. There are no such thing as Palestinians because they are just Arabs who occupy that land at that time. In the terms of they want to destroy what a Palestinian is, yeah, they do. They want to commit an erasure of a certain peoples. And anybody who is uncomfortable saying something along those lines, like Andy Beshear, I don't know. Are they going to be getting votes in this upcoming election? Also, AIPAC recipients. It's a poison at this point. AIPAC, you know what I mean? Key sponsors of my show. They are becoming a poison at this point for many people. Let's hear out of the words of Democratic Governor Andy Beshear why you're all Jew haters.
Some of your fellow Democrats have called Israel's actions in Gaza genocide. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, that's becoming one of those new litmus tests that we said we would never do as a party again. It's trying to throw out a word, and are you going to raise your hand or are you not going to? I understand that Israel was hit with a terrorist attack, the likes of which it had never seen, and it has been through a lot, and that it deserves the right to defend itself
to an extent.
To eradicate that terrorist organization. I believe that it could have been done without a lot of the suffering, but I put a lot of that blame also on Donald Trump. If he'd have said, we are coming in and we are bringing food and aid and you're going to make sure that we're safe, it would have happened.
I love how Democrats, they never want to go the level of blaming Bibi Netanyahu because it'll be considered potentially anti-Semitic. It's a very, very cautious area for many people, but Bibi Netanyahu is the devil. He is a satanic figure. He has one of the most American mixed accents I've ever heard in my life, and he loves the Whopper. He loves the Whopper from Burger King. He is a big J, but he has no other personality besides that, and that he wants to eat people. That is the only 2 personality traits you can detect from this man, except for maybe he gets a matcha now and then. You know, I think actually people are saying, is he dead? Are these videos fake of him? I think they are putting out fake videos of him to trick people into thinking that he might be dead. I think that they're avoiding public appearances, or at least keeping them to a minimum. Maybe they're putting out a guy in a mask or some shit. Maybe they got some Mossad agent that's got a perfect BB impression. Maybe they got AI tools. They are that good. Don't be fooled. Like, it's honest. It's true. I think it's possible right now that Israel is hiding him, much like they realize that we've slaughtered the entirety of Iran's base of leaders. So they're probably going to come and try to decapitate ours. So let's just hide him in a bunker, put out these videos so that people think that he might already be dead, and then maybe they'll actually cool it on the airstrikes when it comes to near the capital region. I don't know.
But given that, I mean, back to the AIPAC question, should Democrats be taking money from AIPAC?
No.
I think that's up to each and every Democrat.
Faggot.
And they can own who they take money from or who they don't. In the end, I think people need to be clear about their stance.
I think it's up to everybody what they want to do. I think it's like this is like the only thing that Democrats are actually libertarian about. Otherwise, they want socialized government, they want top down, they want control. And I understand there's a good aspect to some level of control. But like, these are people who want communism. These are people who want socialism. Not all of them, but they're unwilling to call out craziness when it does show up.
On these issues, and for me, It's one where I believe that we need a future with an ally in Israel, but we need decision makers.
I know that you have a future with a cock in that mouth, you gay piece of shit.
There that are not acting the way that Netanyahu is, and that we need a president that will push when we are seeing humanitarian crises.
Quit blaming everything on the president. That's always the thing with these Democrats. They can never call out Israel directly. It'll always be the level of support the president gives to Israel. The level of support that it's shut the fuck up. You're trying to obfuscate. You're trying to shove the view that other people are having. It's
do something.
The conversation with Dasha Burns, I don't know what her name is. The link is in the description, ladies and gentlemen. Let's cover something of more importance besides the fact that we might be losing more men and women of our country. Let's talk about something that's going to affect the homeland, quite frankly, a little bit more than that. Tiger Woods has been charged with a DUI after a crash in Florida. Let's talk. A familiar and somber shadow has fallen over the golf world this morning as Tiger Woods is facing a fresh set of legal and personal hurdles following a rollover crash in South Florida. Folks, this guy is the king. Many people don't realize it. I don't know why he is. He's revered by many people. For some reason, maybe he has the least holes in ones or some shit. I don't know how the golfers talk. I like to hit the ball, and I like to wear the stupid looking pants and wear the one glove because I like to look black without earning any of the actual street cred by hanging out with people on the streets of southern Minneapolis. So I'd rather hang out with the wealthy and wear the stupid Scottish looking hats and you know, we just you sit with a bunch of guys that are probably cheating on their wife, and then they hit the ball, and that's the fun part about it. And then you just look at a nice day. Most golfers, by the way, are the most out of shape people you will see in your life, and they call themselves athletes.
Breaking news involving Tiger Woods under arrest for DUI following a crash near his home in Florida. Police responding to the scene, Tiger Woods rolling his SUV onto its side.
Oh my
Woods
God.
can be seen there in the background. Tonight, Woods is now behind bars, accused of speeding and driving under the influence.
Can you imagine? By the way, that is one of the whitest streets I've seen in my life. And by white, you know what I mean. It looks white picket fence. It looks like one of those neighborhoods where, like in Peacemaker, where if you see like a black person, you gotta honk on your thing and you gotta go, one got out, a black. Listen, he is living up to the stereotypes of a black male misunderstood, and it's still all good. And if you don't know, now you know. Okay.
Involved in multiple crashes in recent years, including 2021, when he nearly lost part of his right leg and struggled ever since to make a comeback.
How do you fucking do this? Again, honestly.
Victor Kendall leading us off tonight with what we know so far.
Tonight, Tiger Woods facing DUI charges after authorities say he crashed and rolled his Land Rover this afternoon.
He was wearing the gay little shorts too. I love when golfers wear the shorts actually because it shows off some of their leg hair, but some of them go European and you go like, you're 40 something? Do you get it waxed? Do you get somebody to bend down and do it for you? Because you do not have the flexibility to shave those legs clean, and it doesn't even look like you missed a spot on the back.
Our DUI investigators came to the scene here, and Mr. Woods did exemplify signs of impairment.
Martin County sheriffs say Woods was traveling...
How do you know he didn't drive first, rip the car over, and then in his anger and frustration at the situation, get drunk then?
At a high rate of speed and overtook a truck on a 2-lane road.
I might not be able to defend Michael Jackson because I accidentally reveal what he did with those kids after he saved them from Epstein Island, but I could be a great lawyer for Tiger Woods. I'll go, I don't even know what this guy fucking does for a living. I'm just defending him because I believe in truth, honesty, and the American way. I'm like Superman.
On Jupiter Island, not far from his house.
Mr. Woods was overtaking him at a high rate of speed before he took the back end and rolled his vehicle over on the driver's door. The individual driving that Land Rover was able to crawl out the passenger door of the car and was identified to be Mr. Tiger Woods.
Police say Woods was not injured and passed a breathalyzer that tested for alcohol, but refused to take a blood or urine test and was arrested for DUI.
Well, if he passed, that means he's like 0.07. That's what is the legal limit? What is the legal limit? Limit in Florida. There we go. 0.08 or higher for drivers 21 and older. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to let my client go. If he passed a breathalyzer test, and if he had something to drink when he was frustrated that he had just rolled over his nice new car, you can't put him away because he's too cool for school.
In 2021, Woods nearly had to have part of his right leg amputated after the SUV he was driving rolled multiple times outside.
Officers, you cannot use... Listen, I've been a lawyer for 5 minutes now. But even I know you can only argue on the merits of this case. You cannot bring up any prior charges. This is like the Harvey Weinstein case when they put away that innocent man because some overzealous prosecutor had encouraged a bunch of these women to pop all kinds of shit that had nothing to do with the original accusation. And suddenly, he's the most horrific pedophile in Hollywood history. Not pedophile. He didn't do it to the kids, but he liked the girls. He liked the women. He liked the grown ladies. That was Harvey's style. You know what I mean? But he looked like an ogre, and for some reason, because he didn't put you in the movie after you sucked his dick, suddenly you didn't get your side of the deal honored, so now you have to get all honest. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's continue.
At Los Angeles.
You're stopped in the road, in the middle of the road.
In 2017, Woods was charged with DUI after police say he was found by police passed out behind the wheel of his damaged SUV. He later pled guilty to reckless driving.
Leave him be.
And in 2009, Woods
this is 2009?
Crashed his Cadillac Escalade into a fire hydrant just feet from his home amid rumors about his marriage to then-wife Ellen Nordegren. This week, the 50-year-old, 15-time major champion played in ESPN's indoor TG.
I love so much that sports fans, they're the most brain-dead people you will ever meet sometimes and it's not all of them, but it's the ones more specifically that are going to look at you and they're going to go, Kobe Bryant's memory deserves to be honored. They're the idiots that look at you and go like, yeah, what do you mean? Like, so what, he raped her? Have you seen his record? This man went 0 for 0 or some shit. It's always the people that are like they're looking ascathed to many of the nastier habits of their favorite sports friends. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, it's a lot of them that are gonna be like, this guy was a fucking king, and if you say anything on his name that disrespects or dishonors him, we have to be honest about who people were when they die. I expect people to dog my name into the ground when I die because, you know what I mean? I expect it. That's what you do with everybody's name after they die. No one wants to get honest about who they were, how they acted, or whatever it happens. But you know what I mean? You can't hold an accusation of rape from 2003 against me, but you can for him for some reason. The gentleman who died 22 years late.
GL League and fielded questions about whether he would commit to playing in this year's Masters tournament set for next month.
I've been trying. This body doesn't recover like it was when it was 24, 25. Doesn't mean I'm not trying.
It would help if you didn't have liver necrosis.
For a while.
President Trump weighing in on the incident late today.
He's got some difficulty. There was an accident, and that's all I know.
I lost my brother, Fred Trump, actually. Fred Trump Jr. His father was Frederick Trump, and I lost him to alcoholism. You can see it in this beautiful film, The Apprentice.
Very close friend of mine. He's an amazing person, amazing man, but some difficulty. I don't want to talk about it.
David, tonight Tiger Woods is in jail. Florida law requires DUI suspects be held in jail for 8 hours before they can be released on bond. We've reached out to Tiger's team for comment. We have not heard back. But with the Masters just weeks away, his tournament hopes now in doubt. David?
Victor Kendo leading us off tonight. Victor, thank you.
You guys are going after my client for no good reason. He is stereotypes of a black male misunderstood, and it's still all good, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell you his life story. He used to fuss when the landlord dissed him, or us, back when he was a kid. No heat. Wonder why Christmas missed us. Birthdays was the worst days. Now he sips champagne when he thirsty. This man, he's earned everything he's earned in his life. Everything he has. God damn it. I can't talk very well when I'm defending the indefensible. I'm not going to say that in court, Tiger, but let's go over your DUI arrest footage very briefly so I know what I'm working with. See, you pulled over nicely, actually. That was a very excellent pullover. You were on the side of the road before he even pulled up. So you're good. This is DUI arrest footage from a few years ago. Look at you. You are respectful. You are cooperating. You're tying your shoe on his fucking...
What's that?
Why are you standing on his car tying your shoe?
Go ahead and bring your leg down. I just don't want you to fall over. Here, you just keep your shoes off right over here.
Oh my god. Okay.
Do you remember what happened when my partner came up behind you?
No.
Do you remember being asleep in the car? You don't?
No.
Alright, I don't want you to move your head, okay? I want you to keep your head still.
God damn it. It looks like he's one of those people that goes nonverbal when they're drunk or they're caught with something. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be in Florida the next few weeks. If the show is on and off, it's because I'm working on what I'm going to call the case of the century. It's going to be a wicked defense. You're going to be going, this is awesome. I didn't know that he was built like this. It's going to be like my cousin Vinny. I'm going to go down there. He is Ralph Macchio, and I am going to foster his release from prison. It's going to be beautiful. I'm going to have my fiance come down there and testify about a car or something like that. It'll be like she'll point at it and she'll go, these treads could not have been made with a Ford Focus, that it was driven by Mr. Tiger Woods. And I'll be like, and how would that be? And she'll like give like a really scientific explanation, and she'll be like, they didn't have the suspension on it till 2009. He drove a 2007 or whatever. And then that'll be it. I'm going to make a movie about this. Let's make a movie about something else, ladies and gentlemen. Let's make a movie about the rapid fire section of today's headlines. There's a lot of stories you need to know about to keep your media diet healthy that we don't have my computer's making noise, that we don't have a ton of time to talk about. So we're just going to fit in as much as we can. Like the fact that your phone may be using data that you, maybe you look at a post once or twice, an ad once or thrice. Maybe you, I don't know, there's tons of different variations. Maybe your phone battery is a little lower than usual. Well, corporations like Walmart, DoorDash, hotel pricings, all these sorts of things can use that data in order to change the price for you depending on what you do.
How much should this $240 flight to Florida cost? Oh, hold on. Wait a second. I just looked again, and this flight is now $423 because you looked twice. Next question. How much is this ride to get downtown? Usually it's about $18, but the app knows that your phone battery is low, so it's double the price. Companies are using algorithmic pricing tools to study your personal data and charge you exactly what they think you'll pay. This is called surveillance pricing, and it means that companies can charge you completely different prices for the exact same thing. And it's not just happening to consumers. Some companies are now using similar algorithms to track workers and decide their wages, hours, and schedules, even their locations. Nurses in particular say that these management systems lead to lower pay and worse outcomes for patients. In the U.S. Senate, I'll introduce legislation to stop this. My plan bans companies from setting personalized prices based on your data. It protects all workers, including gig workers and contractors, from algorithmic wage discrimination. And it cracks down on companies using these systems to coordinate things like higher rents and insurance premiums. Because the economy shouldn't be a rigged game.
Nice of her. Very, very kind, ladies and gentlemen. We love to give voice to unpopular opinions on this show because they are potentially true as far as we know. We are going to talk about the water crisis. Is AI stealing thousands of gallons of water from Namibians that could be gulping down some of that fresh water from, I don't know, Lake Tahoe or something? Well, there are arguments to be made in either direction. So I'm going to give voice to what could be an unpopular opinion on this show. Take it away, sir.
Is AI really stealing our water? Does every prompt really cost a whole bottle of water? Well, recent data shows that a median Gemini prompt uses just 0.26 milliliters of water, which is 5 drops of water. ChatGPT is similar, which uses about 0.32 milliliters, which is 1/15 of a teaspoon. Now, to put that number into perspective, if you prompted an AI 50 times every single day for a year, you would still consume less water than one single flush of a modern toilet. Here's another comparison. Producing just one single beef burger uses as much water as roughly 9 million AI prompts. In fact, U.S. agriculture uses more water in just 8 hours than every data center in the country uses in an entire year. Even those horror stories are often based on mistakes. That famous claim that an AI facility uses 1,000 times more water than a local town in Chile was a unit error. Big tech is actually using AI right now to find leaks in city pipes and save hundreds of millions of gallons of water annually. So the next time you see a comment saying AI is destroying all of our water, feel free to give them a fact check.
Well, I'm not going to say that AI companies are in it for good, that they're out there to make your city piping better, that they're really, like, I'm not going to say that Meta's out here looking to make your your sewer system run more effectively, just so they can get a little bit of a scrape off the top when it comes to the water functioning, going to their facility a little bit more. I'm not willing to say that they're in it for the good of the people. What I am willing to say is maybe this metric about the water usage that these sorts of things have is a little blown out of proportion, and it's maybe not the greatest slam against the use of AI, and more so people should be using the slam on AI that it's kind of lazy. It's a form of admittedly giving up your humanity to feed into something that will eventually use your inputs to create something bigger and grander than you could ever be. It's literally giving the milk of your creativity to some other baby so it can get stronger than your mind. Your mind is the baby that you need to foster. Then you are giving away all of that sort of creativity, that force, that humanity into a program that'll eventually use it to be better than you ever could be. Much like the radicalization of Calla Walsh, this has nothing to do with what I was just talking about. I'm just going to say that so we can get into a new thing.
Political activists go from volunteering for Elizabeth Warren and climate causes to chanting death to America and Iran and ending up on a U.S. government watch list. This is the story of Calla Walsh.
Death to America, death to Israel.
Just a few years ago, Walsh looked like a typical progressive activist. The Boston native was even featured in the New York Times for shaking up Democratic politics in Massachusetts. She volunteered for Elizabeth Warren, promoted climate causes, and organized with the Democratic Socialists of America. But today, Walsh is reportedly on a U.S. government watch list because of her ties to the Cuban and Iranian governments and her connections to organizations designated by the United States as terrorist groups. And most fascinatingly, her radicalization is played out largely in public. Over the past 5 years on social media, Walsh moved from mainstream Democratic activism to openly praising militant groups and calling for violence against Israeli officials. This October, Walsh relocated to Beirut, where she's now a contributor to Press TV, an Iranian state-run outlet sanctioned by the United States. From there, she's become an online amplifier for Iran and Hezbollah, posting propaganda and rallying her Gen Z audience behind what Iran calls the axis of resistance. After an Iranian drone strike killed 4 American soldiers earlier this year, Walsh mocked the dead online, writing that they died fighting for fascism. Her family in Boston told the Free Press's Jay Solomon in a statement, "We love Calla deeply, but we have serious, fundamental political disagreements with her." Walsh's story reflects a broader concern among counterterrorism experts that foreign regimes and extremist networks are actively recruiting young Western activists online. Over the past few years, Walsh traveled repeatedly to Cuba and was linked to a network of wealthy radical organizations like the People's Forum and Code Pink, and she shifted from democratic politics to revolutionary Marxism. Some U.S. officials tracking her trajectory say it echoes earlier waves of Western radicals who aligned themselves with militant causes in the 1970s and 1980s, and for many of those figures, the story did not end well. Experts now warn that Walsh may already be past the point of no return. Today in the Free Press, we've published an in-depth investigation by Jay Solomon, who spent months looking into Walsh's story and uncovering forces that prey upon young, idealistic American progressives like her. You can read it at thefp.com.
Have fun with that, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, yeah, definitely. The youth are a good tribe to go after, especially if you want people who are dedicated and people who are, angry, looking to express anger in many different ways. This is why punk rock took off. If punk rock had an Ayatollah swing to it, we would already be, admittedly, living in a regime. Yeah, women would have to be covering up, but they'd still love it if like 30 Seconds to Mars was doing it to them. That's just a fact about humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, we should talk about this. The U.S. rejected this UN slavery resolution. The resolution in terms of what exactly? The UN never does anything of interest or security. They haven't done anything, quite frankly, in the last few years except for Star Wars. So we're going to go into honest reviews about the UN slavery critique. This, admittedly, the groups that we voted with, like it being Israel and Argentina, not two countries that you want to be lumped in with, admittedly. It's not fun. I fundamentally don't agree with the resolution, though. It declares that the transatlantic slave trade was the worst, was it the worst crime committed against humanity? No. No. It actually wasn't. I actually don't think so. I think that there's been, slayings of entire cities. I think that there has been conquerings of entire continents, quite frankly. There have been genocides of mass, expanse that have lasted hundreds of years that many people don't even know about or talk about. They don't know about many things in relation to history. They only know about maybe the last 600 years at the very most. You know what I mean? Even then, around the 1500s, most people's knowledge gets weird. It's just become sort of Christopher Columbus. You know what? It's not deep. It's not knowledgeable. No, I'm not in the mood for the UN, this governing body of morals, apparently, to be issuing decrees about what is the best or worst crimes ever committed in the history of the world. If we're going to do this, though, give us a top 10. Give us a top 10 worst crimes ever committed against humanity and top 10, not the worst crimes committed against humanity of all time. Make it a Watch Mojo top 10.
The U.S. rejected a UN vote to recognize slavery a crime against humanity. Well, Israel and Argentina voted against it as well, along with 52 other countries abstaining from it, including the UK and EU, because there were serious issues in how it was written. But it passed the UN General Assembly 123-3. A big issue with it is the resolution calls the enslavement of Africans the gravest crime against humanity. Was it not? Was it grave? Yes, but gravest? I mean, that implies gravest of all time. And I would say in general, the UN shouldn't be in the business of creating a hierarchy of historical atrocities. It simplifies the complexity and suffering felt in different contexts and risks diminishing the experiences of other communities. Like, there was a Holocaust and the Rwandan and Armenian genocide. I don't love comparing which was worse. That seems like a minor piece of this resolution. The main thing is it calls on UN member nations to engage in talks on reparations, including
Oh, that's where we go, of course. It always heads back to the idea of reparations. Everybody, if you've seen that episode of Atlanta, you know that it's ridiculous and silly. When the black lady walks into the white guy's house and goes, my fucking, your granddad, George, he owned my great-great-great-great-granddaughter, my great-grandma or whatever the fuck. And then, like, I am entitled to a little bit of your check every fucking Monday or some shit. Everybody knows that it's a ridiculous concept. Everybody knows that it will never pass any meaningful body of common sense thinkers. But for some reason, it will continue to be brought up by the weakest minds among us.
Full apology, measures of restitution, compensation, changes to laws and services to address racism and systemic discrimination.
Point out the systemic racism to me. Where does it say in the law that blacks need to be treated any worse than whites? Where in the law does it say that?
Sure, the U.S. would be on board with some.
And don't bring up redlining. Don't bring up things that happened over 50, 60, 70, however many years ago. Don't bring up, the World War. The people who came back from wars were denied their pensions. Guess what? Guess what, broski? You want me to blow your mind here real quick? That happened to the white ones too. Oh, isn't that interesting? Isn't that fascinating that for some reason when the military gets treated poorly, it generally happens to be beyond racial lines? You know what I mean? If you actually talk to military service people, they actually tend to be the least racially divided among us, as a matter of fact, because it creates a brotherhood of arms among them. Whatever. Apparently, you're really informed.
Or that, but certainly not the idea of a legal right for reparations, because I think retroactive law should be illegitimate. Something that was not illegal under international law at the time it occurred has no legal standing today. As if it did, we'd all forever be paying reparations for the sins of our ancestors. No one, black or white, has a completely clean evolutionary history. I think whether or not an international statute prohibited slavery back then is irrelevant. There's a thing called natural law, and slavery is inherently wrong under that, and we're acting like slavery was eons.
Natural law? Hold on a minute. What the fuck is natural law? It's a philosophy. That's not a governing body that can be applicable in any... What are you talking about, natural law? Natural law is not a thing. There is no such thing as natural law. Do I have to say any more? I don't think so.
It wasn't until 1865 it ended in America, for instance. That's only a couple grandparents away, and the negative effects are still here. Plus, Germany paid reparations for the Holocaust, so it isn't a completely abstract concept. Around 50 million...
That's because the German people are weak, and they will flog themselves because they love it. They love flogging themselves. They love feeling bad. They love going, we were the worst 80 or so, however many years ago, but we're good now. We're good now because we called out all the fascism. Now we just make fascists of ourselves. We flog ourselves to infinite. It's not a way to run an effective country. All their cars are the things that they have the most to be proud of in that nation. The beer is not that great. Weihenstephan is the best thing that they have, and it's not even it's mid-tier. It's okay.
People living in modern forms of slavery today, right now. Forced labor, forced marriages, human trafficking, debt bondage in the countries like North Korea, Eritrea, Mauritania, China, Afghanistan, Russia, where things like that is prevalent. All of them voted for this measure because they want the international community to focus on past wrongs, not the obvious crimes against humanity happening today in their countries. We can walk and chew gum at the same time, but the Industrial Revolution, which propelled the West far ahead of the rest of the world, was largely powered by slave-produced cotton, sugar, and tobacco. So asking for a small...
Who gives a fuck? It was tasty.
Percentage of the return of the fruits of that stolen labor is not crazy. If anything, it's crazy to say nothing should be done. Oh yeah, let's just forget about the invention of the steam engine, the spinning mule, and cotton gin. But look, there were slaves in Arab societies, African societies. It's actually hard to find a historical society without them. And in fact, the Western world was the one that created the international frameworks to ban slavery around the world.
What is this going to lead to? Eventually, are we going to be giving Chinese people the rights to the railroads? Is this where it's going to head to? I don't think so, ladies and gentlemen. The Native Americans are lucky they get what they get. Let's talk about the final story of today because I want to just jump. I want to jump right into it, and you can go listen to Both Sides News. It's honestly not a bad thing. It's in the description if you'd like to. It'll explain the rest of this situation, but let's get into a legit story. But let's cover what happened this weekend. The people that attended the No Kings protest. Let's go. Bam, bam, bam. Play the fucking theme. American streets saw their largest coordinated mobilization in history this past Saturday as an estimated 8 to 9 million people took part in the third No Kings protest, spanning over 3,000 cities, there we go, in all 50 states, and reaching 16 countries globally. The demonstrations targeted a sweeping array of White House policies, primarily focused on the escalating war in Iran, pretty good cause, you know what I mean, and the controversial deployment of ICE agents to civilian airports. I guess. I thought that you guys were focused on them on the streets or something. But now, because there's not as many of those ugly scenes to film, suddenly we're going to focus on where we can see ICE. You know what I mean? Organizers from groups like Indivisible and 50501 described the turnout as a shattering record, surpassing the previous highs set during the October rallies and signaling a deepening national divide over the executive overreach. The anti-war sentiment was palpable from Washington, D.C. to Denver as protesters decried Operation Epic Fury and the mounting U.S. service member casualties. In the nation's capital, thousands marched across the Arlington Memorial Bridge carrying signs that read "Regime change begins at home" and "No boots on the ground." The movement's flagship event in St. Paul, Minnesota, featured high-profile appearances by Bruce Springsteen. Oh, for gay. Senator Bernie Sanders. Why? He's old news. He's Chick-fil-A, you know what I mean? Who addressed the crowd of 50,000 at the state capitol. Springsteen performed his new worst song of all time, Streets of Minneapolis, dedicated to the victims of the recent... Not victims. They got themselves into the situation. Alex Preddy and Renee Good were not victims. They were silly billies, and they got themselves into those situations. It's unfortunate, but history will agree with me. Streets of Minneapolis, man, it's the worst thing that he's come out with in a while, ever since maybe the podcast with Obama was the second worst. I don't know. If this was a just straight rip from the song from Streets of Philadelphia, if he took the same tune, except he did a new tune that just doesn't sound good. He clearly does not have the talent that he used to anymore. He's always been trying to mimic the Bob Dylan, the kind of hippie era. He missed it. He was so angry that he got famous right after that era, and he always wanted to harken back to the protest songs, and it never worked. It was always bad, and the best thing that he ever put out was Dancing in the Dark, whatever. demonstrators listened to that song. They loved it. In a parallel to the anti-war messaging, No Kings rally served as a massive pushback against the presence of the unmasked ICE agents at TSA checkpoints. Demonstrators are hounding agents at major airports, airport hubs like Atlanta and Philadelphia, with labor unions joining in the fray to demand agents' removal and the immediate payment of furloughed TSA staff. I doubt that that'll ever happen. Let's just take a look at this Today Show clip and then let you all go and do whatever it is the Monday demands of you.
Millions hit the streets on Saturday for the third time in less than a year.
This is what democracy looks like.
Protesting President Trump and his policies from coast to coast in big cities and small towns.
Donald Trump.
More than 3,000
Trump
No Kings marches planned in all 50 states and around the world. Anger over the war in Iran and immigration enforcement fueling the frustration.
Renee Good, mother of 3, brutally murdered. Alex Preddy, VA nurse, executed by ICE.
Fuck off, you loser piece of shit.
The Department of Homeland Security shut down for 44 days. And
Bruce Springsteen will never have the heart and soul of half of the artists that he pretends to be like. And anyone who can't admit that isn't honest about music history.
left airports in chaos.
Online, they tell you to come here a little bit, like 4 or 3 hours earlier, since the lines are really long.
On Capitol Hill, Republicans in the House and Senate can't agree among themselves. Speaker Mike Johnson rejecting a unanimously passed bill that would have funded the TSA, FEMA, and cybersecurity programs.
Good job, Dad.
Johnson pushed a different bill that funds all of DHS, including ICE, with 0 reforms. Democrats say they won't vote for it, all but guaranteeing an indefinite shutdown. The Trump administration is temporarily paying TSA officers as expeditiously as possible, according to a senior administration official. But the damage has been done. Rebecca Wolf is a TSA officer and local union president.
Do you see this as a temporary
And woman who does not own a comb to save her life.
solution? Most definitely. We're political pawn.
Girl, comb out that hair. It looks like a rat's
We feel
nest.
like we're being held hostage.
More than 500 TSA officers have already quit, and Friday saw the
And half of them cannot afford hair products, clearly.
worst call-out rate of the entire shutdown, over 12%, with the holiday travel week just getting underway.
Now, Willie, airports are unfortunately just the start. Gas prices are rising, mortgage rates ticking up again as the Pentagon's operation in Iran passes the 1-month mark. Willie?
Julie Sirkin traveling with the president in Florida this morning. Julie, thank you.
Julie, thank you. We really appreciate it, Julie. Julie, not Jewy. God damn it. Whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful Monday broadcast with me. I had a wonderful time putting these stories together. I hope you had an even better time listening to them. We're going to be back at it again for the rest of the week, Tuesday through Friday. Subscribe if you want to be there for it. Ring the bell for notifications, like if you liked it. In the meantime, I appreciate you listening at all. This has been a fun, hilarious time. And I have been your host, your Ollie Vogt Larson, for your Brain on Air. Thank you so very much for listening. I'll catch you in the next broadcast, and bye-bye.